Vibe coding is cool until it's not. If you don't have documentation to feed your AI Copilot, you're gonna have a hard time and it's gonna suck and you might want to give up. Oh, something's really wrong. You're definitely gonna need to start over at least once. So in this video, I want to show you a solution to this very commonly experienced problem, and that is by simply creating a product requirements document, a PRD. It is a simple process. It doesn't take long. You just need to do a little research to prepare yourself and your AI for what you want to build, and you're going to have such better results just by feeding a PRD to your AI Copilot. It doesn't matter if you're using Bolt, Lovable Replit, or Cursor, or Claude Code, or some Visual Studio Code plugin, whatever. Feed the PRD to your AI Copilot and you're going to get much better results. So here we go. The first thing I do here is I open up Claude. I use Sonnet because I think Claude is just better. I like the personality more. You can use whatever you want. This is just what I use. So I say, help me create a product requirements document. Okay, that's easy enough, right? Here's what we're building. I'm going to say, what are we going to build? Let's say an Astro powered blog that is SEO optimized, search engine optimized, SEO friendly. It has a sleek, modern design with a dark color scheme and a purple undertone. So that's the basic overview. That's the first thing I say. And this is normally an organic process for me. So we'll come back and do it and perhaps tweak it later. The next thing I say is the tech stack I know I will use is, well, we already know Astro, Netlify for deployment, and Supabase for the backend. Now, I don't really recommend Supabase for the backend for a blog. I'm going to use Pocketbase for the backend. Pocketbase is a super basic and open source backend, and it doesn't have a lot of the features that Supabase has, but it just keeps things cleaner and easier. It's on GitHub. It's very easy to set it up. So pocketbase.io, you can check that out if you're interested, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just saying I want to use Pocketbase for the backend. So now Claude knows, okay, this is what we're making. The tech stack is Astro, Netlify, and Pocketbase. This is the framework. This is for deployment. That's the backend. That's pretty much it, right? What else? These are the features I want to include. Okay, an admin dashboard for creating new posts and new users, in case I want to add new users, right? A newsletter subscription form at the bottom, archives, tags, categories, and proper permalinks for SEO, SEO metadata on each blog post, and that's probably about it, right? And it would be similar if you're making a directory, right? You'd say Astro powered directory that is SEO friendly, has a sleek modern design, whatever. You would probably still use Astro and Netlify. You could still use Pocketbase, but you could use Supabase, whatever. These are the features I want to include. And that's pretty much all the really juicy stuff you need to tell Claude to make this PRD. The last thing I like to say is I will be building this with an AI Copilot, so I don't need any team milestones or anything like that, because it likes to make it really professional, like you're a Silicon Valley startup and you do things by the book. But we are just amateur vibe coders here. So we just do whatever we want. There's one last thing here. Ask me if you have any questions for clarification and continue to write the PRD. So then you have an extra layer of, okay, what did I miss? What do I need to know? So here we go. We get some questions here. Looks like it's writing it too. This is another thing about using Sonnet versus like Gemini, for example. It'll just go. It'll just do it. It has questions for me, but it just is doing it anyway, and it'll fix it later. Models like Gemini get so annoying because, first off, it expects me to do a bunch of stuff when I'm trying to use the AI Copilot to do that stuff. And second off, it says, would you like me to do this thing for you? Sonnet just does it. And that's why I really like Claude. All right, so then it asks these questions. Do you want the admin dashboard to support rich text editing? Comfortable with Markdown? Markdown is perfect. User roles. When you mention creating new users, are these additional admin users? Or do you envision different user roles? These are editors, contributors. So this is good. This is the clarification we need. And that's why as we learn conversation-driven coding, we need to just frequently be asking, hey, is everything I'm saying clear? Because otherwise it'll just go and probably won't do a good job. ConvertKit for newsletter, archive structure, both. UI frameworks, no. SEO requirements, sitemap generation, schema markup, and robots, yes. Boom. So now it already kind of created most of the PRD here while I was answering its questions. And now it's just adjusting some things. And let's wait for that to finish. Okay, so it's finished. And just real quick, we'll just scroll through it. I want to show you just the most crucial parts. We've got our executive summary with our goals. It's got our tech stack here, and it's got even more details than I initially put in, right? Which is why this is so important to create a PRD. We got our architecture, we got our core features, navigation, how all of this is going to work with organizing, with permalinks, with SEO stuff, robots, sitemap, schema markups, Twitter card tags, great. Email capture with ConvertKit. We do not actually need the ConvertKit API, so I'll write that. Just the form ID. So as there's notes, I just write them in here, and then at the end, I send this list, and it'll make the final revisions. Create and manage blog posts for the admin dashboard. Now, the truth is, if I was really trying to do a blog right now, I would probably not need editors and contributors. Otherwise, I would just use Ghost or something, a proper blogging platform. But it is fun to build. Tags, categories, visual design, great. Maybe we want to use sans serif or serif fonts. We'd probably want to put in there. I want a serif font. Page load speed, SEO requirements. Okay, this is the most important part, my friends. The data models. This is how we create the database schema here. In fact, it doesn't even look like it made the database schema, but maybe we should. Please mock up the database schema, because the database schema is how you can stay consistent. If you go from bolt to cursor or whatever, you need a single source of truth so the AI knows how the database works. Otherwise, it just creates a front end guessing, and then your back end doesn't match, and it's a real hassle to solve. In fact, maybe you've experienced that before. I know I have. So we'll just finish going through here. Deployment requirements, good. Third-party integrations, we do not need API. We already mentioned that. We do need the .env, pocket base, backup procedures, feature enhancements. Yeah, not too important for now. Great. So now I'm just saying that last list here. We do not actually need the ConvertKit API. I want a serif font. Please mock up the database schema. And now we have a PRD. Great. So now we have a PRD that has the database schema. I think this is really important. This is really important. It might look different. It might look different for you depending on how your AI made it. But the point is, you want to have as much figured out now in the beginning. A lot of the stuff you won't need to figure out too much now, but you should take a look at it. For example, user roles. Up here, we have the relations for the post categories. And if you don't understand what something means, like for example this, let's ask, what does this mean? And then this is how we can learn as we build. It explains the problem of the many-to-many relationships and context of categories, and how we can't simply store into the database something with multiple categories. So it has to do this whole many-to-many thing, the junction table. So there you go. And then as you're learning, you can think, oh, maybe we don't need that, or maybe I didn't understand that, or whatever. And then you can refine your PRD even more. So I'm going to save the markdown file here. And now just for fun, I'm going to pop it into Bolt and Claude Code, which I've been really into lately. And let's see what does a better job faster. So in Bolt, I've attached the PRD. So I build this blog, follow the specs in the PRD. And then over here, I've already opened up my folder for this PRD project. And it's asking if I'm giving it permission. I say yes. And here, first I'm going to press Shift Tab and cycle through to plan mode on. I'm going to say build the blog as specified in Astro blog prd.md. And Claude Code all happens in the terminal, which may seem intimidating, but it's really not. Check out the 5-day command line bootcamp. There's a link below. It'll help you get familiar with the terminal and just feel like it's not some crazy black magic stuff. The command line is really important. If you want to start building, if you want to build, you really should. You really should get comfortable with the command line. You don't have to become like an expert, but the command line is important. So here we go. Over here, Claude, probably using Opus, just super quickly made our whole plan. So let's proceed. And meanwhile, Bolt is just building. Bolt said, based on the comprehensive PRD, I'll create a modern Astro Power blog. The real kicker here for this demo, for this video, I'm not going to actually focus too much on the Pocket Base integration as much, because that might take some time, but the deployment. If one of these can deploy Astro out of the gate through Netlify, that would be incredible, because Astro seems to always give a lot of problems. Bolt claims it's Astro compatible, and I have had success deploying on Netlify, but not without problems. But it would be really cool to see if Claude Code can just make it without any problem. And you can see over here, I'm going back and forth, but Claude Code, it will update the to-do list. Look at this. So I approve the plan, and it's got a whole list here of things to do. I can make this bigger. And then it just says, okay, here we go. And it updates the list as it builds. It will prompt you once in a while, just like Cursor, which is why you want to give it permissions to run certain commands inside the folder you're building in. And I love how it uses some random verb here when it says what it's doing. All right, so now it wants to create Astro using the node install script. Say yes, go for it. It'll also be interesting to see which one's faster, huh? So we'll check back in here shortly. Okay, so they're built. First thing, I'm over here, I'm in Bolt, and you can see we have this fun little purple dark blog. And I like the style of it. Let's see, click that. Oh, doesn't look like it made the posts, but that's okay. What's important here is we want to see how it deploys. So I'm going to click deploy, and it'll just deploy it straight to Netlify. Let's see how that goes. As that runs, I've opened up Netlify over here, and I'm going to import an existing project from GitHub. And this is going to be the Claude Code project. I made a new repo and I submitted it, and it's called, I think, PRD something or other. PRD blog Claude Code, and we'll call it PRD Claude Code. And this will be interesting because it's supposed to be Astro. Let's see how that deploys. In fact, maybe just to save time, on Netlify, what is the base directory, build command, and publish directory for deployment? And let's just make sure we do that right. If you have a Next.js file, normally this fills it out just fine. But for some reason, Astro is just trickier. Bolt. Let's click out. All right, it deployed. Cool. And as you can see, because we're using Astro and static site generation, we can view the page source and we can see all the actual HTML. Whereas in an XJS project, you don't see the HTML because it's all rendered client side. But this is static site generation, which is kind of silly because we don't have any other pages here. We do have the category pages, and you can see we have good permalink structure up there. Cool. So Bolt, I would say, did a pretty good job here, huh? Oh, did it even make the admin panel? Wow. It did a lot. It did a lot with 2 prompts. I mean, 3 if you count the deployment. So pretty exciting. Pretty easy way to make a blog, huh? All right. So let's check what we got to do. Okay, we don't have any environmental variables, so hopefully that doesn't create a huge problem. Base directory is that. Build command. Uh-oh, can't post that. And astroblog is the publish. Whatever. I'm actually not going to put any environmental variables in there. Let's just see what happens here. It'll let us know if it can't build because of the environmental variables, but I don't see that being the problem unless it needs that site URL. And you can see here, the netlify.toml file in the project root already includes optimized settings for headers, caching, and redirects that will be automatically applied during deployment. So that's cool. But it failed. So let's see here. Package.json is missing. So now I wonder if maybe it's not that astroblog directory, and we should just, okay, now we can change it. The build command and pin run build, publish directory is dist. Okay, let's actually do this simpler, this alternative configuration, base directory. Then we want to see where the netlify toml file is. It's an astroblog. Everything is an astroblog here, so it should be fine. Let's deploy that again. Failed. Now, I don't want to blame Claude Code for this because the repo structure is a bit weird. I have my PRD folder, and that is the folder that is the Git repo. As you can see here, the repo itself is here, but astroblog is the actual deployment folder. That often can create problems. It would definitely be simpler just to make the Git repo inside of astroblog. But we've already come this far, and it's always fun to learn new ways to do things. So, and actually, it looks like this had nothing to do with the folder structure. It looked like that was all fine, and this is a dependency problem. So, I guess Bolt won. One thing I love about Claude Code is it's very agentic. It's only asking permission to use certain sensitive functions on your computer, but it's just doing everything on its own. And that's because auto accept edits is on. And you can see you can do Shift Tab to cycle that if for some reason you don't want it. So there it is. Now I'll go back to my other terminal window, git add, and git commit fix deploy. We push that to GitHub, and now it's going to automatically redeploy. Bummer, huh? Paste that in there. Yeah, so it's moving the files to the root. That was the problem. So now Claude Code is doing exactly what I was thinking of doing manually. Press up, send that again. Let's check the deploys. You know, I might need to change, I need to change the directory structure here. So the base directory is empty. npm run build, publish is still dist. Okay, so now let's try this again. Boom, we got it published. Let's check it out. Okay, so it kind of used serif and sans serif. All right, we don't have those pages, just like with Bolt. Got the blog permalink, categories, tags. So it doesn't have as many pages made here. I made the about page. Yeah, I mean, overall, we won't actually know until we integrate the database and we, really test it out. But overall, I would say Bolt did a better job. I mean, it got more done Bolt got more done in less time. But I have a feeling just a hunch, and I don't have time to go into this today, but I have just a hunch that the database is going to be easier to implement with Claude Code. So I hope this video was helpful. I know the point was to make a PRD and we took it a little farther than that, but I hope it was enlightening and maybe you will feel inspired, empowered to try out Claude Code. I think it's really awesome, and you'll also save money on Cursor. I'm just moving farther and farther away from Cursor these days. I'm using Rue Code with Claude's API. I'm using Claude Code. I might even upgrade to Claude Max or whatever it is. I think $100 a month, and just I'm already getting so much done on $20 a month with Claude Code. And Cursor was just, I'm getting like $250 a month. It's crazy. But like this video, Bolt could be good to keep in your stack. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're trying to learn how to vibe code and trying to get more perspective. If you're a non-coder like me and you're just trying to figure it out, and check out that command line bootcamp because it's going to be really helpful, especially if you try Claude Code. See you in the next video. Peace.